God damn. Tux is seriously...
Tux is 8.
Is 8?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. That's crazy. It was just occurring to me Mr. Brody Lee is 3, which is crazy because he's still... in my brain, he is still a kitten.
I'm pretty sure he's older than 3.
Well, we got him 3 years ago, and he was a kitten.
Well, I've been at this place 2 years already.
He was 3 in December.
Oh, okay.
So, like 3.5. Okay, so what the fuck is going on with your cats? I want to hear the cat drama.
Yeah, so Tux is fighting with Chimmy. I saw a couple times in the last month Chimmy actually charged Tux, which is like really weird because Chimmy's my least aggressive cat.
That is very not Chimmy.
Yeah. So I already know that like something had to have happened beforehand. But then, this was Friday? We got that hammock thing that's on the sliding glass door.
I'm sorry, can you take your coat off?
Oh, yeah. I meant to anyways.
I guarantee you that is all over the recording so far.
It's the only not fancy weatherproof jacket I have.
Is it cold in here? Do you want a blanket?
It's just because it was raining outside.
Okay.
It was like pouring when I left. Like when I stepped out my door, it was literally like pouring. Anywho, so we have that hammock thing that's on the sliding glass door. Yeah. I went outside of the backyard and no cat was on it, and I'm usually careful coming back in because cats are on it all the time, and they're used to the door sliding open, but I didn't pay attention because I was out there for like 30 seconds.
Right.
I went out there just to like put something outside and then come right back in. So when I came back in, I just like slammed the door, and all of a sudden like Tux is like screaming, and it took me a second to realize what was going on, but his tail got caught. He was on the hammock thing. His tail, the very tip of his tail got slammed into the door.
Oh no.
Yeah, I opened it. He jumped down and Chimmy was right there, and he started attacking Chimmy, and like just because he was freaking out. He was flipped out. And so yeah, and even like Kage got all puffed up. Everyone's getting all puffed up because Tux is like freaking out. But so I put Tux in my room to like assess him and like get him to like just chill out. And his tail's fine. But as soon as I let him out of the room, he just starts attacking Chimmy. And then like he keeps attacking Chimmy. And so then Chimmy starts like even like Chimmy's all the way across the room. Tux is like mean mugging him and like growling. And so then Chimmy started charging at him. And so I had to separate him for the night.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I ended up because Tux was just like freaking out being in our room. He wanted out. So I put Chimmy in there, and Chimmy was fine all night. Then the next day I let him out being like, oh, maybe things have chilled out. And I gave them treats, and Tux and Chimmy were eating right next to each other. So it was like, oh, they should be fine. But no, Tux is still like hissing at and trying to attack Chimmy, but Chimmy at this point doesn't care.
Right.
It just keeps like slow blinking at him or ignoring him.
Aww.
But like I got like treats to like that are like calming treats that are for like when there's fireworks and shit.
Little THC.
Well, I don't know what else to do because he keeps attacking him. And like, but then like last night they were like sleeping together, but then this morning he's like attacking him again. And so before I left, I gave him more treats. Like, because I think
poor Chimmy always gets the short end of the stick, man.
I think what happened is that when Tux got his tail stuck in the door, when he jumped down and Chimmy was there, he's now associating Chimmy with his tail getting slammed in the door.
Yeah.
Not me. With Chimmy. Because he's even fine going back on the hammock and stuff, but like, yeah, it sucks. Because now they've been living together in 8 years peacefully.
Also, I mean, Chimmy of all cats.
I know. But something must have happened before, because I saw Chimmy charge Tux twice, like months, like within the month.
Yeah.
I don't know. But now Tux is like, he just sees Chimmy and he starts hissing.
That's a damn shame.
Yeah.
How old is Chimmy now?
He's going to be 12 this year.
Fuck.
Yeah.
So he has to spend his old man years dealing with an angry middle-aged Tux.
I'm hoping to. I swear Tux was like 5, but I need to. Yeah, I'm gonna try to mitigate the situation somehow. But right now, I just got like calming treats because I figure if he's chilled, just chill out, just chillax, man.
Yeah. And
then give them treats together and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, how do you even manage that? Like, you can't just separate them for a couple weeks and then.
If I could, that would be the answer, is to reintroduce them. But I don't know how to do that. Where I would have to like swap them in and out of my room, because otherwise one of them's probably gonna like get jealous that they're not in my room, and then also territorial of the front room.
Yeah, and then you end up with cats pissing in the room.
I haven't had cats peeing anywhere lately, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna get these calming treats, and then I just gotta try, because Tux wouldn't eat yesterday too, because they like have the drop feeders, and you wouldn't get near Chimmy.
Start fostering again. Give them a common enemy.
Yeah, but I'm trying to like give them treats like next to each other, being like, look, be friends.
Shit.
But yeah, it sucks.
What a bummer. And again,
dude, especially like when it first happened, because like I said, Tux was just going after him, and then Chimmy was going after him, and I was like, fuck, what am I gonna do? Yeah.
Especially with, honestly, also all of this is crazy because it involves Chimmy. Because Chimmy has, for the entire time that I have known him, and you know, I did live with him for a good while.
Yeah.
He has always been the chillest, most timid.
Yeah.
Chimmy never wants any trouble.
Yeah.
All he wants to do is like hang out, get pets, feel safe.
Yeah. And also it's funny because Blinken's just all in the middle. Even when Tux was freaking out and hissing at everybody, he wasn't at her. And she's just like, what's happening?
Poor Blinken.
Yeah, when Tux was first screaming, it's like everyone's poofed up except for Blinken. She's just confused. She doesn't know what's happening. Which Blinken's blind, so I guess
Blinken is blind, but also kind of eternally a kitten.
She's very,
yeah, very, very small, and has not. I mean, you've had her for.
She's 2.
Yeah, she's 2. Mm-hmm. So I mean, she shouldn't be like not energetic or anything anymore, but she does not seem like she has changed in personality one bit since she first arrived at the house.
Nope, she's just a little baby.
Always a little baby. She's always going to be cute.
Yeah.
Always going to be small. Always going to be blind.
Yeah, definitely. It is funny because when Dahlia comes over, so the little 5-year-old, she constantly asks if Blinken's ever going to be able to see again. And I'm like, she doesn't have any eyes.
Nope.
Yeah, she sometimes too is like, why is she blind? I'm like, she doesn't have eyes. Oh. Yeah. Will she ever have eyes? I don't think so.
No. Look at her face, kid. She's got one lid eternally closed, and the other one I don't think even has a lid anymore. It just looks like smooth skin over it at this point.
Oh, well, one of it's sewed shut because one she had actually removed.
Yeah.
And then the other eye never developed, so it's just her eyelids are actually like... she has her outer like eyelid. She can blink.
Oh, can she?
She can open and close her eye, but it's fused on the inside.
Yeah. Okay.
Which every time I try to show people, they get really freaked out and won't look at it. I'm like, it's not gross. It's literally, it's just sealed like skin.
Yeah. I used to have this cat, Figaro, who used to fight with all of the neighborhood cats, and he lost an eye at some point. And we took him to the vet, to see if they wanted to like sew the eyelid closed or whatever. They were like, the anesthesia would probably kill him at his age. So we're not going to do that. And Cat still lived like another 2, maybe 3 years.
Yeah.
And
really closing it is just an aesthetic thing.
Yeah.
It's for people.
Well, he never closed it.
Yeah.
He just would come up and look at you with this gaping hole where his eye used to be, and it freaked a lot of people out.
Yeah.
It really gave people the creeps.
Yeah.
I mean, it gave me the creeps too at first, But
You got to think, like, even people who lose their eye, if they have a false eye, it's because they're shoving, like, a stone into the cavity in their head.
Yeah.
It's just left with a hole there because it's fine, but for aesthetic purposes, they usually sew the fur together.
It took a little while to get used to. It was creepy, but you know, he was also kind of my cat. You know, I was his favorite. You would not believe this because I don't know why I allowed this to be a thing, but he would sleep at the foot of my bed every night, which is probably one of the reasons my allergies were so bad when I was younger. Because I'm allergic to cats, and I let a cat sleep on my bed every night like an idiot. He was my little guy, my little violent sweetie. Welcome, everybody, to Streaming Screams. I am Glenn. I am here with Jessica.
Hello.
And I promise we are not having a special episode about cats. We are here to talk about some horror. And today...
There are horror movies that star cats.
Maybe we should have done one of those this week. Today we are discussing The Ritual. Released in 2017, written by Joe Barton, directed by David Bruckner, starring Rafe Spall, Arshur Ali, Robert James Collier, Sam Troughton, and Paul Reed. How did you like The Ritual?
I really like this movie. I think it's good. It's cool.
It is a good movie.
Yeah. Good creature designs.
Yeah, the creature design is very cool. It's very... Katie watched this with me, and she was really impressed by the creature design.
Oh,
too.
has she never seen it?
No, she's never seen it. It's interesting too because the creature really does not show up until fairly late in the movie. I mean, you hear it and you see like its doings, but it's a real like third act reveal.
Yeah, and even then you don't ever. I mean. It's always like still like in the shadows or
yeah.
Like you never get a perfect view of it, even when it's in full view.
Yeah, it's also got it's got an interesting cast of friends dealing with real stuff before the supernatural shit kicks in. Kind of real stuff.
Yeah. So this is based on a book, which I'm gonna read the book, but based just on the synapse, it's like a totally different reason why the friends are having like issues.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that, I guess, in a minute.
Well, I could tell you what the book is. It's not spoiling anything for.
Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah, because it's completely different. So in the book, the reason they're all like kind of not getting along is because the main dude is the only one that's not married, and so he's living kind of like a frivolous life while they're all like buttoned down, and that is the conflict.
It's a less you know what's interesting though is that it is a less compelling conflict in a lot of ways, but it does happen.
Yeah.
And it does become a problem when you have that one friend who's like 40 and still wants to party hard and go pick up chicks and go to the strip club and all that.
Yeah.
And you're like, come on, man, I gotta work tomorrow. I don't want to hang out with this strange group of girls.
Yeah.
I'm only gonna see you guys like once this month. Can we actually talk?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I'm interested. I'm gonna read the book. I'm interested. Of course, everyone says it's better.
Yeah.
But that's what people say in all books. But they're like, especially the first half. So I'm like, okay.
Well, I mean, it's got to also be pretty different because the inciting incident in the movie really informs everything.
Even the end.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't just inform like why the characters are having the dynamic that they're having, but it is like it's the reason they're on the hike that they are on. Well, it also is all the central themes.
Yeah, but also like the ending all has to do with that too. So that's why I'm like, how does this? I'm curious to see how that'll go.
Yeah. That sounds like a pretty wild. It sounds like a pretty wild shift, and I mean, it could
It's technically a small thing, but a huge thing, you know?
Well, I mean, again...
Because it's just one thing of the story, but it's the catalyst of everything.
But again, it informs the entire themes of the book. I guess you could use that to explore guilt, but the main themes that run through this movie are guilt, courage and cowardice, and resentment.
Yeah.
And I guess you could do resentment, and maybe if the main character convinces some of the other characters to cheat on their wives or something, you could do guilt and shit. But it seems like a rough translation.
Yeah.
I mean, this is again just coming from somebody who hasn't seen or read the book.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna read it after I finish the book I'm reading now. So
yeah,
I'll update.
Yeah. We should do a. You know, some time ago we talked about if we ever started a second series, we could do the Streaming Screams book club where we read books and compare them to.
I do read
movies.
most books of movies I like.
You know, maybe we could start that series not as like a regular thing, but just the occasional. Because I'd be interested in reading that. And I don't believe we've done an episode on American Psycho, but I always thought it'd be cool to do an episode on both the book and the movie American Psycho. And same thing for Annihilation. Because as you know, I absolutely adore both that book and the movie.
Yeah.
There's a fourth book coming out.
Yeah, you mentioned it before.
Okay. That's an example of a book that is where the movie is completely different, but thematically captures the spirit of the book so well that I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
Or rather, I actually think it's one of the best film adaptations I've ever seen. But
I don't know. I'm not one of those people that if things don't follow the book exactly that I get like all upset, because I'm like, you can't make it the same. It's just that the medium is so different in how you can tell information and how much information you can tell and like what's effective, that it doesn't bother me when people change stuff as long as it's like, is the essence of the like
is
the
it
story
capturing
there?
Is it capturing the spirit? Is it capturing the themes?
Yeah,
you know, that's what I'm saying. Like Annihilation for me is one of the best film adaptations I've ever seen, even though the similarities basically stop and start with all-female group is sent into an area where something weird is happening to try to assess what's going on. And like beyond that, completely different. Yeah. But the spirit is captured so well that I think it's a great adaptation. Whereas I've seen movies where they're adaptations of a book where they're just sort of lacking. Yeah. And they'll be very true to it, but it just won't have the same, I don't know, impact.
I haven't read the book also, but the person who wrote this book has another movie on Netflix also. Mm-hmm. That's available like to watch. It's called No One Gets Out Alive or something like that. Let me look.
I think I've seen that.
I just had it. Now I can't find it.
It's it was written by Joe Barton.
Yeah, but no, I was thinking who the book is by. Adam Neville. Neville, that sounds British.
I was just thinking that sounds like a very British name.
No One Gets Out Alive, yeah. It was about like a Hispanic woman in a like rundown apartment building. Mm-hmm. Wasn't very good. But also has a really good creature design.
Wow. Yeah,
this movie's really good.
Let's get into the spoilers. So we've got.
I will say I really like this movie, but it is a pretty like stereotypical plot of Colt in the woods. Don't go in the woods.
It is, but it explores.
Them going into the woods was always a stupid choice.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Also,
hiking in the middle of nowhere when you have no experience is always a bad choice.
Okay, so fully get into spoilers here. Rafe Spall as Luke, a man who is struggling with some extreme guilt. Arshur Ali as Phil, the quiet friend who kind of starts to break down. Robert James Collier as Hutch, the friend who like organizes everything and is almost a de facto leader. Sam Troughton as Dom, the fucking wet blanket of the group. And Paul Reed as Robert, the dead one.
Sure.
So at the beginning of the story, all of the friends are hanging out trying to determine what they want to do for their next vacation. And Rob wants to like go on this big hike through, I think it was the Swedish
Sweden.
Swedish wilderness. And When him and Luke pop into a convenience store where a robbery occurs, which goes wrong, and Rob is killed while Luke hides. The group, like a year later, goes on this big hiking trip to honor Rob's memory, and there's, some tension in the group, but it's not like horrible until Dom fucking busts his knee and becomes a goddamn problem.
Yeah.
And Dom is like, when I say the wet blanket of the group, he is the one that complains about everything and he's an asshole. He is an asshole. He expects everybody to like carry him through everything, and he is just difficult and expects that everybody's going to pick up his slack, which, okay, I get it. Busted your knee. Find a big fucking stick, Well,
they had walking sticks.
Yeah, and
his knee is obviously really fucked up when they show it later.
Yeah. His knee is obviously really fucked up, but
it's obvious he has a history of lying about stuff because all of them are like, he's not really injured.
Yeah. He also, okay, understandable. You've busted your knee like that. You've got two solid choices. Tough it out. Continue on the path, push through the pain.
Yeah.
Or you and one other person fucking just make camp. The other guys continue on the path. Don't insist on a shortcut through the woods.
I guess you can put it wherever.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll fix it and edit.
But it always reminds me of that one time my parents almost got lost in the woods. Well, they did get lost, but they were hiking in the redwoods,
Yeah.
And they went off the trail for like a second.
Oops.
And then, got lost because it's really easy to get turned around.
It's shockingly easy to get lost in the woods.
Yes, and they just meant to like go off the trail for a second to go look at something, and they got turned around. But they were like really worried because they didn't have water or anything, and they were lost for like an hour. And my parents said that it was funny too because they were like, "Yeah, we were wondering how long it would take for anyone to notice we're missing." And I'm like, "About dinner time, Brian would be wondering." You guys are my brother who lives at home. That's why when Mom was like, "Yeah, we were wondering how long it would take," and I'm like, "About dinner time." Not that long. But they found the trail eventually. But I'm just like, you fucking idiots. Yeah, don't leave the trail. Or like, I'd say don't leave the trail at all, but never go further than where you can still see the fucking trail.
Yeah. It's generally if somebody's going to step away from the trail, have somebody stay on the trail, like in a visible spot.
Yeah.
So you can find your way back.
People think they know which direction they're facing, but like in the woods, everything looks the same.
Well, not only that, but it's like rough terrain. You think you're going in a straight line, but you've stepped around a rock, you've moved around a tree, and no, you're not going in a straight line.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. I can't believe you waited until after we stopped recording to say that. Come on, Jessica. Come on. This section of the conversation, I had to hit record and be like, start that over. So if it seems like it's just jammed into the middle of the podcast somewhere, it is.
I'm saying, don't get lost. Don't go lost. Or you can go in the woods. Just stay on the trail. Yeah. Stay in populated areas.
Stay on the trail. If you don't know what you're doing, don't fucking deviate from that. I'm sure it's probably different if you're like somebody who hikes a lot or you're like a wilderness expert.
I guess. But even in this movie, there's a point where they go, "Oh, we'll go this way. There's a trail." I'm like, is it a trail or is it just a random clearing?
I mean, honestly, it didn't look like a trail the way they showed it.
No.
Bunch of dumbasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're an amateur, either bring a fucking guide with you or stick to the trail.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Well, and it is funny too because like Rob was the only one who thought hiking was a good idea. The rest of them were like, "Fuck that."
Yeah, he probably would have got a Sherpa.
He probably would have gotten what?
Like a Sherpa or whatever,
Well, it sounded like he had.
You can pay people to take you on these hikes.
Oh no, I know. It also sounds like he actually would go on hikes. Like, it sounded like he was a more experienced hiker.
Maybe.
So, he probably would have had the good sense not to leave the trail. Absolutely absurd idea. Okay. Well, I will insert that conversation somewhere in there. And, don't say shit like that for when the recording's done. What the fuck?
Yeah.
uncharted woods.
To be fair, he's not the one that suggested it.
No, but he does kind of insist on it once the idea is brought forth.
Yeah. I would stick to the path where you can see where you're going. It's far away, but they can see their destination.
The problem is when you're going through deep, dark woods like that, you don't know when that path is going to end or diverge.
It's also super easy just to get turned around.
Yeah.
People think it's like, oh, just keep going straight. It's like, that's not as easy as you think it is.
What is straight? Once those branches are overhead and you can't really tell the positioning of the sun, you've got no fucking compass left. Unless you have a working compass, which they don't seem to.
Yeah, which the one guy lies about.
Yeah. But yeah, so
this whole situation
they decide
too,
to take...
though, like, him being a dick about it, like, so the whole thing is they're upset is, they went in to go get liquor, find out it's being robbed. The one guy, what's his name?
So,
I'm bad at names.
So Luke immediately ducks and hides.
He hides.
He's got that survival instinct. Rob does not.
Yeah, and also it's like, he only gets killed because he puts up a fight about his wedding ring, which I'm like, dude, just give up the wedding ring.
No, you don't. You know what's going to suck more than losing your wedding ring? Your fucking wife becoming a widow.
Yeah, so he gets beaten to death, and then, so the friends are blaming him because he hid. And they're like, you didn't have any blood on you. That means you didn't even try to help.
Yeah, so...
But this is my thing. This is my problem. They're right outside.
Right.
Why didn't they fucking do anything? Why didn't they notice?
They were in so they were in a busy city. They're talking amongst themselves. You don't know what's going on inside unless somebody's actually actively watching. And they were in the back of the store.
I just feel like being right there, you're just as equal. If you're going to blame anyone, you're just as equally to blame. I don't think anyone's to blame. I'm like, what is he supposed to do? He probably would have also been killed. Would they have preferred that? Yeah. But when you're literally like 5 feet away, how can you act like this one person is just a piece of shit? Well,
and so I think
I'm like, why don't you have guilt for the fact that you were right there?
So I think one of the major themes of the movie is resentment.
Yeah.
And trying to deal with the emotional resentment of something like this versus the logical understanding that your resentment is unfounded.
Yeah.
Because Dom is the one that eventually broaches that subject and, lays the blame on Luke. The other friends, they are obviously dealing with it, Luke. The other friends are obviously dealing with a similar kind of resentment, but they're all able to, push past it and be like, no, what the fuck was he supposed to do?
Yeah, because the main guy
I think even Phil doesn't, or is it Phil?
I don't remember which one's talking to him because it was dark.
But the guy who's the group leader doesn't actually seem to resent him.
Well, before this blow up happens, he straight says it wasn't your fault. What were you supposed to do?
Yeah.
But then after the blow up happens, Luke asks him, and do you feel this way? And he says, I don't know.
Right.
Which is fair.
Because yeah.
It's a complicated situation, but like I said, I'm just like, how much he's just dragging on him where I'm just like, you also were not that far away.
Right. You weren't. And I don't
think it's anyone's fault, but I just think it's fucked up to be like...
to put all the blame on the guy who had... Honestly...
The guy who was also in fucking, in a situation where he could be murdered.
Right.
But you're right there.
And it's real easy to be like, why didn't you behave differently when your fight or flight instinct kicked in?
Yeah.
Well, you don't have much of a choice.
Yeah.
You're gonna... Once that instinct kicks in, you're going to do what that instinct demands. And, we also
find out that there was more people robbing the place than he originally thought. When it was just the one guy, he was considering fighting back.
Yeah, and then when it was 3.
Yeah, there's 3 of them.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? And you already know that they are willing to do violence because how they all
they've got the clerk all
that's what I was gonna say.
in the back.
They walk in and they don't know what's happening because the robbers are all in the back room. But then after talking, they look over and the clerk's beaten up and bloody on the floor. So you already know these people have no problem being violent.
Right.
So I don't know. It's just, it's a realistic situation because I understand also grief and you're upset is you don't know how you're going to handle it. But it's just through the whole movie when they're they're like giving him shit. I'm like, even when they're just flashbacks and he like just steps outside and they're just like 5 feet away. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, fuck them. I would be like, how come you guys didn't notice?
Right.
Like, you know?
Yeah.
There was shouting at some point. You were not that far away.
Yeah. I mean, again, I will say there was no reason for them to notice. They're in a busy city.
I'm just saying if I'm getting attacked.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, I should have let myself get killed.
Yeah.
When you guys also, I'm just saying, could have done something.
I would hope if we found ourselves in that situation, I would hope that I would have the good sense to grab you and drag you into hiding with me. Yeah. But, it's real easy. It's real easy to think about a situation like this or hear about a situation like this and be like, well, I absolutely would have fought or tried to do something differently.
Yeah.
You don't fucking know, man. How many accounts have you heard of like some fucking attack, a public shooting or a fucking terrorist attack or anything like that? And everybody always talks like, I would have done something. Everybody always pulls the Mark Wahlberg, you know? If I'd been on that plane, things would have gone down differently.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself. There were hundreds of people on that plane. Did any of them?
Mark Wahlberg is a very funny choice to me.
Yeah. Why?
Because he has committed hate crimes, beating people in liquor stores. So
that's great. Yeah. No, fucking God, what a fucking dick. But yeah, what are you gonna do? And I know that there were. There were 2 guys on one plane who did try to do something, but it didn't help.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
But you think of every fucking mass shooting and everybody, wants to be like, maybe if somebody had a fucking gun on them, I guarantee you there's been plenty of people in mass shootings who have had concealed carry going on and doesn't do anything, Oh,
yeah.
it still gets carried out. Everybody has these fucking... Especially with men.
It's so very rare that a good guy with the gun actually doesn't make things worse.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, if the good guy with the gun actually does, the quote good guy with the gun actually does anything.
Yeah.
Most of the time they don't.
Yeah.
But because everybody always, especially men always have this grandiose idea, because we've all seen too many fucking action movies where we're like, we'll leap into action and we'll do something. No, you fucking won't.
Yeah.
We see enough real world examples of people being bystanders to crimes or attacks or shootings, or people being sort of in the group, in the crowd that is being targeted, in the school, in the church, in the theater. We see examples of this fucking weekly. And nobody ever steps up the way people want to talk about they'll do it.
Yeah.
So what the fuck are you going to do?
Yeah.
You want you want Luke to run in there with his wine bottle and fight 3 fucking guys who have already kicked the shit out of this lady? It's not fucking happening.
Yeah.
Don't delude yourself. You're not going to do better in a fucking emergency situation like that. The best you can hope for is that you'll get other people out safely. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Probably not an active attacker situation.
Yeah.
So be fucking sensible, man. People are gonna fucking hear this and be like, well, can't count on Glenn in a fight. No, I'll try to talk it down. Yeah. I don't know. People have weird fantasies about heroism, and they're just not realistic.
Yeah.
The human psyche doesn't work that way.
Thanks for joining us here at the Streaming Screams podcast. Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and YouTube at Streaming Screams Pod.
You can also find us on TikTok and Blue Sky at Screams Pod.
Every follow, like, thumb, rating, review, subscription, and share all help us out a lot with all the algorithm shit.
So if you like what we're doing, please rate us wherever you get your podcasts, like our posts, all that other good internet bullshit. And again, thank you for listening to
the Streaming Screams Podcast.
So this is all the theme and dynamic of the group. And then while going through the woods, they stumble across some pretty creepy pagan shit going on.
Well, first they find a fucking deer,
but it's hung up in the trees.
Yeah, but not just hung up. It's branches are going through its like skin. It's like it's
like impaled.
It's like flayed, and then its guts are like all strewn about.
Yeah. But they also find like runic carvings nearby and things like that. And then they make their way to this like they find this creepy old house in the woods. You know, again has the runic carvings everywhere, and has a really creepy pagan idol upstairs.
Yeah. This is a weird aside, but just, is it an American thing to call houses in the woods cabins? The whole time I was like, I find it interesting they keep calling it a house. Because in America, we would definitely call it a cabin.
I think the
Not that it matters. I'm just saying in America, we would definitely call it a cabin.
Okay, so...
And they repeatedly call it a house.
Without looking anything up, I am fairly certain that there is a technical structural difference between a cabin and a house. And
I've looked it up before, not really.
I believe this qualifies as a house. That being said, I have been in some fairly luxurious quote.
So I'm saying
cabins.
anytime we go to Tahoe, they call them cabins. They're just fucking nice houses.
They're really nice houses. Yeah. It is. Yes, it is funny because when I think of cabin, I think of like, you know, real rustic and basic kitchen, living room, bedroom, bathroom type of deal. But then I've spent time in cabins that are just like these gorgeous deals with like game rooms and jacuzzis and, you know, 20-foot high windows and shit. Are you looking up the difference?
I'm looking up the definition of a cabin, and it would be a fucking cabin. It says a cabin is a small, rustic, typically wooden house, often situated in remote scenic areas like forest. They're designed for simple living or vacations. It's a cabin, but it doesn't matter. But like I said, because these are also what I found funny about this movie, because this is just cultural differences.
Well, wait, if a cabin has to be remote and there's a whole village there, wouldn't that just make it a house? Because there is a whole village there. They just don't
often.
Oh, okay. Because there is a whole village there. They just don't see it at first.
Yeah, it says often. So I think they still would be cabins. It doesn't really matter. Like I said, it was just something that I'm like, in America, we would 100% find any structure in the woods and call it a cabin.
Yeah.
But I also found it funny in this movie. Where are these people from? They're from just the UK somewhere?
I think like London or something.
They're constantly talking shit about Sweden and Swedish people, which I also found interesting because I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard an American just be like, fuck Swedish people. Like,
no, but you hear plenty of them be like, fuck Canadians and fuck Mexicans.
Oh, 100%. But again, I'm just saying it's just interesting things where I'm like,
It's because
I've never heard anybody just be blanket, I hate Sweden.
I think
just interesting things. I'm not saying there's anything wrong or wrong.
There is definitely something wrong with hating all of Sweden and all Swedish people.
Yeah.
Just like it's pretty dickish to just hate Mexico and Mexicans or hate Canada and Canadians. But I think there's that proximity rivalry that goes on where, you know, like do Americans have any reason to shit on Canada? You know, like it's just
because we're jealous.
It's just America with a better healthcare system. You know, it's like, come on. But we're constantly, you know, the entire Super Troopers sequel is just an excuse to make Canadian jokes. You know, I know you're not into the first movie and probably never saw the second one.
Never saw the first one all the way through either.
The first one's so good.
It's not for me.
I know. It's one of those movies that whenever I watch it, I'm like, I don't know why I like this. This is not my type of deal.
Not to get off sidetrack, but have you watched The Righteous Gemstones?
I started to, and then I was just like, I think I fell asleep.
I love that show, and I've watched it like so much. And even Craven's like, you like this? I'm like, I know.
Yeah. Because you're always the first one to be like, I don't like stupid humor. Yeah. But
it's very stupid.
Yeah. And well, you know what's funny? And I think both you and I are kind of like this. Mm-hmm. Both of us want to think that we don't like stupid humor until we find a
There's an exception to everything.
There are exceptions to everything, but then I think about, like, we have gone to see the Trailer Park Boys live. And that is not highbrow humor at all. It's very stupid. Very stupid. But, you know, it's great. It's a blast.
Yeah, but that's also that show. Remember, I got into it because I wasn't sure if it was fake or not at first. I was like, what is this? And I watched so much of it, like, confused at first. Because I, like, was like, is this actually, like, a documentary?
It is funny because I mentioned that to a Canadian guy that I worked with at the time, and he was like,
because somebody else showed it to me and I had no context, and I'm just like, what is this?
Well, when I was mentioning that to the Canadian dude, he was like, it's really funny because it is weirdly accurate in some ways, especially the early episodes.
Yeah, I've known people who is
all of those stereotypes, and they're unfortunately true.
No, I've met people who said they grew up like in that area and in trailer parks, and they're like, I can't watch it because it is just so accurate.
Yeah, that's again, we're not saying this from personal experience. We're both suburban Americans, man.
Yeah.
This is just what I've heard from other.
Well, we have trailer trash that's doing about the same stuff. Not everyone in trailers trash. It's specific types of, like, trailer parks.
I mean,
not living in just a trailer home in itself is trash. It's the specific type.
Well,
people.
So the only reason I'm going to push back on that is because I know that is a stereotype, and I know that it's easy to find examples of stereotypes once you hear about them or see them. But, like, I don't think either of us have spent much time in a trailer park.
I haven't lived in one, but I've spent time in one.
I've hung out with people who have lived in. And yes, you'll see wacky people doing wacky shit, but I think you'll also see that those people also exist in the suburbs and in the cities and everywhere else. Sure. But you know, if we have somebody who's doing wacky shit in this neighborhood, I'm probably not going to see it as much because there's physical space between the houses and, like, everything is bigger.
I'm not talking shit about people in trailer parks. I said that. I was like, not all people in trailer parks, but there's like trailer trash. It's a specific sect of, like, trailer people, like, just like there's shitty people, who live anywhere. But I'm like, if you say somebody's trailer trash, you're not talking about somebody who just happens to live in a trailer home. Right. You're talking about specific people. Like, everyone I knew in trailer homes were meth dealers that lived with their grandma. Right.
I forgot about your ex.
So I'm like, I've never lived in a trailer home, but I've spent time in trailer parks, and it was definitely that shit.
I mean, you know, now that we're significantly older than we were when we first started hanging out, and we're both living in decent houses and decent neighborhoods, it is a lot easier to forget that it wasn't always like this.
Yeah. You want to hear some?
You know, so because, like, when we were first living in, you know, in small apartments together, and every once in a while one of the people from our pasts would show up. Yeah. It was a lot easier to remember that, like, yeah, that fucking guy, you know, or life wasn't always this, like, cushy, comfortable, and adult.
Which is so funny because that makes me remember the first time I met. One, I was sick.
Oh, God.
Yeah. But just when they left, because, you know, you had people come over to stay the night after your birthday thing, and I was sick, so I couldn't. But, no, I was going to say.
Man, I was so drunk.
But also what was funny is the next day I was like, somebody smelled really bad. And you're like, oh, that's. Yep. I was like, dude, the room smelled.
Yeah. That was... So he had gotten worse over time. Yeah. And that was the first time it had ever been like... That was the first time it had ever been like that. And also, you know... I don't know, man. I mean, I was so shit-faced. I was shit-faced enough that I essentially brought a party home while my roommate was sick. So.
I was saying a really high fever. I'm super sick.
I know. Well, I didn't know how bad off it was. I thought you just had like, a cold.
No.
I didn't realize that there were hallucinations in play.
I was like deliriously sick.
You probably should have gone to the hospital. Oh God. Yeah, that was but I was so fucking hammered. I'm like, hey, everybody, let's just go back to my place. And then like we all immediately walk in there and I ditch everybody so I can go make out with that one chick in my room. And it was a fun day. It was a fun night. I felt really bad when I realized like the next day just how sick you were.
Well, it was also funny because when I gave you my present to you started crying.
Shut up. Shut up.
Just burst
That's not making the edit. Get the fuck out of here.
Anyways, yeah.
I may not be a manly man, but we're not discussing that. Yeah, good times.
But anyway, so they find this house cabin.
Yeah, and there's like a creepy pagan idol, and they're all creeped out, but they're like, all right, what are we gonna do? We need shelter for the night. Then they like wake up and everybody is having a fucking crazy reaction. Like one dude is screaming and he's pissed himself.
Yeah.
Another dude, I think it's Phil, wakes up like naked in a prayer position in front of the idol.
Yeah, which is funny because
Luke
he bet someone $1,000 to sleep up there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then he's the one that
Luke wakes up with like puncture wounds in his chest.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Yeah.
And then the wet blanket guy is like calling for his wife.
Yeah. Which was sad because he gets dead.
Yeah. Basically it's implied by him that they all dreamed their deaths.
Oh yeah.
Because before he gets killed, he's like, "Do you know what I dreamed?" And then he explained it. That's how he dies.
Yeah.
So from that, we can infer that everybody dreamed how they were going to die.
Which I think does everybody dies except Luke, huh? Mm-hmm. What ends up happening is there's the cabin that they have stayed in is sort of on the outskirts of this little village.
Yeah.
And it's a village of Swedes who are worshiping one of Loki's like children.
Yeah.
It's like this so if you're not super familiar with Norse mythology and you only know it from like the Marvel movies and shit, Loki has this weird thing where he gives birth to monstrous children.
Well, because he's a horse sometimes.
Loki is a shapeshifter.
Yeah, I know that, but
he's a giant and a shapeshifter, and he has transformed into a horse at times. It's not like one of his main forms.
Thought, like when he had some fucked up kids, he was a horse.
No, he gave birth to an 8-legged horse. And that becomes Odin's horse.
Oh, maybe that's what.
But he also gives birth to Hel, who is the ruler of Niflheim, which is basically their hell.
They say the name of this guy.
Yeah, it's I wrote it down here. I think I wrote it down here. Moten?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, it's like Moten or something. And so the any mythology that we have that isn't like Christian mythology is generally incomplete. Because basically Christians eradicated pagan lore wherever they went. So if you have read up on Norse mythology, you know that there are a few named children of Loki that we know about. Yeah. There's probably a lot more. Yeah. Some of whom have names that are lost to time, and others probably just, there's probably just like a general background thing of like, yeah, Loki makes monsters.
Sure.
But yeah, so this is supposed to be one of his children, and it's like this really cool thing that kind of resembles a moose, but has like arms growing out of its face and shit. And I know that sounds silly, but when you see it, it looks like a moose fucking
body,
rad.
Like a moose body, and then like where the head is, it's a torso.
Torso, yeah.
That goes up to have no head. And then has hands that are holding up like horns type thingies. But then below where like the crotch would be is a head, kinda. Or at least there's like a cavern with glowing eyes. Yeah. And then hands. But it's really cool.
It doesn't sound cool the way we're describing it, but it looks really cool, especially like when
and then it can make you see what it wants.
When it's like backlit and it'll take like a prayer position, and you're just like, it's wild how the way this creature is designed when it's in silhouette, it can kind of morph into different things just by changing its position. Like it's really brilliantly done.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. But yeah, it can make you see things, and it has a habit of impaling people in the trees and then disemboweling them. And
he just wants to be an interior decorator.
You know what I
People
think?
just need to teach him people aren't wall decorations.
I don't even think it's that. I think he just really likes Christmas.
You know?
And
they took it away from him.
They're like,
he doesn't have very many resources.
Right. The Christians took over Christmas, and now he's like, I can't find garlands in my traditional colors, so I'm gonna take some intestines out of you if you don't mind. I'm gonna string them around the tree. I'm gonna put your lungs over here. I'm gonna put your heart here.
Yeah.
And then, we can sing some traditional pagan Christmas songs. Yeah. It will be so cool. Great. So, yeah, and eventually, like, one by one, everybody gets killed except for Luke. Luke has his moments of defiant redemption, kind of. I mean, not really redemption. He doesn't need redemption except in his mind.
Yeah.
I do really love...
Well, I guess it's that, what was his name? Phil?
Phil is like the
whiny guy with his knee.
No, Dom is the one with the knee.
Okay, well, anyways,
Phil is sort of the guy who's like sort of fragile and sensitive, but isn't like a wet blanket.
The brown guy.
I can't remember what any of them look like in my head, except that Dom vaguely looks like Bubbles from the Trailer Park Boys.
True. Okay. Well, Dom, anyways, the one who gave Luke all the shit about everything, is left with him. And when they're chained up, he's the one that's like, you have to survive.
Yeah.
You have to tell my wife that she tried to get to me. And that's when he was like, do you want to know what I dreamed? Mm-hmm. And he was like, I saw myself being offered to that thing. And then my wife came.
Oh, God.
And then they show him getting chained up to be offered to the thing. And yeah, his wife comes out of the woods and he's like calling for his wife, but it's really the creature.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, I think all of them probably dreamed their death.
Right.
But he was like, you have to get out of here. So it's like, that is kind of his... Everyone's like, we don't give a fuck anymore about this shit.
Yeah. Well, guess it's a little easier to understand when you're on that end of the gun, so to say. Not that there's any guns involved in this.
And they've been shown that all these like cult people all have the wounds in their chest that Luke does.
So Luke escaping at the end isn't just escaping the creature, but he also does burn down the house, and I think the whole village, and I think he kills a lot of the cultists.
Oh yeah.
I know that he burns all of these. I know that he burns all of these mummified people, and I think the mummified people are the cultists, but I'm not sure on it.
Yeah, that isn't,
because they're not dead.
No, they're not. I think so, or at least they're some of them. It's not really explained. Maybe in the book.
Yeah, it isn't super explained. Might be in the book. The impression that I got is that the creature that they worship, Loki's child, grants them like extended life. Yeah, it's not really clarified on whether it's just really long life or immortality, but the impression that I got was like part of it is this sort of cocoon mummy thing where they all like wrap themselves up to sleep or maybe to hibernate. But either way, Luke does actually fight his way out of there. Mm-hmm. He does kill a bunch of the cultists, which just given the rest of the conversation that we're having, it is funny that redemption in movies always so often involves having to kill a bunch of people. Sure. Not exactly a redeeming action. But in this case, it's him finding his courage and utilizing his will to survive in a fashion that isn't something that is so easily looked at as cowardly. Yeah. Because again, I don't
because it's found out that the like just by happenstance, I guess, but the creature can't leave the forest.
The cultists say that the woods are his domain.
No, I know that, but that doesn't mean it can't leave.
with mythological beasts, a lot of the time they can't leave their domain. So I think...
Well, I think could that also be part of the ruins that he's trapped there?
Possibly. Luke escapes. There's a really good shot of him, like, the beast roaring at him as he gets out, and then he sort of, like, gives this defiant roar back.
Yeah.
Which is cool. That's like his moment of, not redemption, but it's like his moment of being like, fuck you, I survived.
Yeah.
And am not a coward. Even though it is just him running away.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound brave while we're talking about it, but it is.
Well, I think he's probably going to have a shitty life when he gets home, because just imagine how everyone was treating him when last time they hung out, one of them died, and now all of them are dead, and he's the only survivor. Well, no,
they're all dead. He doesn't have to worry about their opinion anymore.
No, their families are all going to be like, fuck this guy.
Yeah, fuck him. Besides, there is a non-zero chance that eventually he just goes back there and joins the cult. They all had those wounds.
Yeah, but why? Because this is another thing. There's a lot of cult movies like this where I'm like, what is the appeal? They don't look like they're living great lives. They're all like dirty as fuck. Like,
get used to that.
And then you also can get killed, because the cultist lady girl that was kind of nice got murdered by the creature because she looked up.
That is true. Yeah, I don't know. Some people, when it comes to life, prefer quantity over quality.
I guess.
And, but also, once you're like, there are plenty of people for whom living in a cabin in the woods and hunting and
that's fine. No, these people looked all fucked up. They did not look like they were just farmers living in the woods.
They looked like the longevity was not doing them any favors.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm just like,
they looked like they were
not look.
They looked like they were still like. They didn't look like zombified or anything, but they looked like they were unhealthy and decaying as they aged.
Yeah. If you ever played Resident Evil 4, they look like all the villagers from that.
Yeah. Good game. Or at least I remember it being a good game.
Yeah, the remake's good too.
I played it like 20 years ago.
Oh, there's a remake.
Someday I might get to that. I still need to play Resident Evil 7, which I own and have not played yet.
3 games behind.
I haven't played all of them.
I've played all the numbered ones.
You and I started playing 5 together, and we 6 together, and we both quit on it pretty early.
Yeah,
because it was not fun.
Well, it was different. It wasn't like set up like a regular game.
No, I don't remember if I ever played 5. I know that I loved 4.
5, they're in Africa.
Yeah, I don't remember if I played it. I definitely didn't play it all the way through. I do really want to play 7, and I want to play 8. I don't really know much about 9.
It's supposed to be really good. I haven't played it yet, just because it just came out like a month ago.
Oh, yeah. The Resident Evil series is an interesting one for me. For me, it's always been a very hit or miss series. I thought the first one was all right. Don't think I ever played 3. I really liked 2, but I don't know that I finished it. 0 was whatever. It was kind of meh. 4 I thought was phenomenal, but obviously was also a big turning point for the series, and obviously we did not like 6 1-bit.
Yeah, I don't like 5.
Yeah, I don't remember.
A lot of people don't.
I don't remember if I even tried it. 7 I think looks really cool. The only reason I haven't played it yet is because I actually do want to get a VR headset for it, and I just have not made getting a VR headset like a financial priority.
Yeah, I have no interest.
I mostly want it for that and for Resident Evil 8.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm never going to spend like $400 for a game.
Right. Maybe I'll find a cheap used one or something. But yeah, I just think the idea of that Texas Chainsaw Massacre style dinner in VR seems really cool. And I do like VR. I have played several games in VR, not like extensively because I don't own a headset, but I think it's fun. I enjoy it. I like the immersion. So, yeah, I do really want to get one at some point. I'm ask Katie to get me one for Christmas. Anyway, so who would you recommend The Ritual for?
Anyone that's into horror movies. It's not overly, despite, I guess, some of the scenes with the people in the tree, it's not overly graphic.
Yeah, it's not super graphic. It's a lot of the more horrifying aspects happen in the shadows or off screen.
I meant to mention too, there's a bunch of really cool scenes of like flashbacks of the inciting incident in the forest, and how like the forest just turns like partially into this like convenience store, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I there's one in particular.
Like he keeps just reliving like scenes.
Yeah, which, you know, is kind of how trauma works.
Yeah.
But the way they do it has this very cool artistic quality where he's like walking through the woods and then he walks by a shelf of, you know, cleaning products or whatever. And
then there's just like all the fluorescent lights going through the woods and shit.
There is a very cool scene where all of the fluorescent lights from the ceiling light up one at a time, like behind him, but they're just like suspended through the trees.
Yeah, looks really cool.
It's very cool. Yeah.
And even when he breaks away from it, you can just see it in the background.
Yeah.
The lights are just still there.
Yeah. It's really cool the way they did that. Yeah, I meant to bring that up too. It's funny that we both forgot about that till the end.
Looks really cool though.
Yeah, very cool. Very well done. The design of this movie, I think, is probably one of its strongest aspects.
Yeah.
Creature design, the village looks creepy, the people look creepy, and the way that the convenience store blends with the wilderness in his mind and in his hallucinations.
The idol is super particularly creepy. It's because it's not. It's like the torso head thing of this thing where it's like looks like somebody holding up
2 antlers
and then a head missing and stuff. Oh, and then it has like boned feet.
Yeah.
On it. Craven thought they were chicken feet. I thought they were decayed human feet.
I think I thought they were bird feet, but
either way, it's like particularly creepy. It's not just like a wooden effigy. It's fucking weird.
It is weird, and you know,
it'd be very unsettling. I wouldn't
the one
stay
dude
there.
being
I
like, "I will pay somebody $1,000 to stay in this room."
Yeah,
there's a reason it was $1,000.
I wouldn't stay there.
No.
I'd be like, no, something's not good. This isn't good.
No,
this is like the bad kind of witchcraft. Whoever made this is coming back. For sure.
Yeah.
Be like, no, we have tents.
Yeah. I mean, again, I would not have deviated from the trail to begin with.
But I'm just saying, even if I ever found this place, no.
Like, seriously.
I likely wouldn't want to go inside, even.
Just leave.
I'm not an urban explorer. I'm like, you don't know who you're going to run into.
Yeah. I used to be more into that idea, but you go into the weird building and you run into some like meth heads and you're like, you know what? I probably shouldn't be doing this sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's a bad idea. If you get injured on a hiking trail, just either tough it out or camp out and send part of the party to go get help.
Yeah, because don't
cut through the woods.
Yeah, because part of the thing too in this movie, again, I've never done like this type of hiking or anything, but they mentioned there's a lodge. It's implied that the only way to get there is by hiking.
Yeah.
And they said, we're registered there, so if we don't show up in 5 days, they're going to send a search party. So wouldn't you want to stay on the route?
I don't even think it was 5 days. I think it was like 2 days.
I thought he said specifically 5 days, but maybe not. It could have been 2.
I think the hike was supposed to be 5 days. And if they didn't make it there, like...
Yeah, that they'll send somebody. And I'm like, I would assume that you gave them your route if this is like... a safety net for people who do this like deep hiking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
wouldn't you want to stay on the goddamn route?
No, Dom's got to be difficult. He needs everything to be done the hardest way possible.
It's just insane.
You know, and we all have a friend. We all know people like that who just insist that everything be done the hardest way possible.
Anyways, check it out. You know, if you like horror movies, if you like creature features.
Yeah.
It's not technically a creature feature, but it features a creature.
I would say that if you've got an interest in exploration of the human psyche and Nordic mythology, it's a very cool movie. If you are big on atmosphere in your movies, it is fantastic. The atmosphere is probably one of its greatest aspects.
Yeah.
So if you're into that sort of thing, check it out. If you want more jump scares and obvious blood, probably not for you.
You can watch this on Netflix, or you can rent it pretty much everywhere, but it's exclusive to Netflix.
Can you rent it everywhere? Mm-hmm. Okay, I thought it was like strictly on Netflix.
I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure you can rent it pretty much anywhere. Oh, I guess you're right. I thought you could rent it. Yeah. No, because it's on Prime right here. Or is this a different Ritual?
There are several of the Rituals.
Yeah, no, this is a different one. So I lied.
That's why when you said, let's do the Ritual, I was like, which one?
Yeah.
And you did kind of give me a look like, what do you mean, which one? I'm like, yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, but not even all of them are horror movies. But yeah, no, I guess it's just on Netflix.
All right. So
it's really good, though. It's worth watching.
If you want to watch The Ritual, and we both recommend that you do, check it out. All right. And I think that's going to do it for this episode of Streaming Screams. Jessica, would you kindly play us out?
Don't take shortcuts in the woods, you stupid piece of shit. You're gonna get lost.